Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our Triangle Talks event this morning. Today, you're in for a treat. We're going to be focused on transportation here in the Triangle area, which continues to be a very hot topic. And Scott Buell, who is one of our lead volunteers here in the Triangle area, is going to be moderating our conversation. So, Scott, I'll kick it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pax. Today, we are happy to have Nathan Spencer join us. Nathan is an associate director for WakeUP Wake County, a nonprofit focused on improvements in livable communities and style here in the Triangle. He has a background in planning and transportation and grew up in Boston. Nathan worked on oversight for the Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority, or MBTA, the transit agency in Boston, which carries over 1 million riders per day. He moved to the Triangle in 2013. Along with his position at WakeUp, Nathan is also in his second term on the Raleigh Transit Authority, overseeing the Go Raleigh system and the Bus Rapid Transit project. He lives in East Raleigh with his wife and 8-year-old son. I want to remind everybody that we're recording this today, so share this with your friends and on your timeline, and we'll get started. Welcome, Nathan.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Can you tell us a little bit about WakeUP Wake County and its mission and its goals?
Absolutely. So WakeUp's mission is to promote thoughtful, equitable planning and sustainable, healthy communities. We do that through education, advocacy, civic engagement, and research. And the idea is to create a higher quality of living for everyone in the Triangle. We've been doing that for about 15 years now. And while the organization changes in sort of leadership or shape in the board, the main mission has always been help people have the opportunity to speak out and help the elected officials and policymakers understand what the people need.
Can you describe maybe some of the past projects that they've been involved with?
Absolutely. So our sort of recent sort of claim to fame would be we were instrumental in the passing of the Wake Transit Plan referendum back in 2016. We helped carry that campaign to make sure that we created a sales tax stream of a 0.5-cent sales tax to fund transportation over the next, starting in the next 10 years and then going on. So we've been, we now work very hard on keeping that going. We've also been part of the creation of a number of programs like the Neuse River and Jordan Lake preservation programs to make sure that our waterways are staying healthy, that we're not contaminating too much, that we can work with flooding and plan and grow around our communities. So that's those are just two of the areas that we're working on, or we've worked on. This year, we're doing a lot of effort to help people understand the value and the interests of the housing bond that's on the Raleigh's ballot, on the back of the ballot this year.
Right. Well, it sounds like they're doing a lot of things that are very important as this county develops and grows. It's obvious that nonprofit can't do this alone. Can you tell us about how you share some of the partnership work and who are your impactful partners?
Absolutely. So our partners run the gamut. I mean, we work with AARP and the American Heart Association. We also work with small advocacy organizations pushing for safe transit for those with disabilities, making sure that transit hits not just the choice riders, but communities that may not be able to afford cars. We work with government agencies as well. So our partners include organizations like something called the Triangle Joint Council on Government, which is a research group funded by municipalities and government, as well as Go Triangle and others. We do a lot of work with elected officials, helping them understand some of the issues. So we consider each elected official a partner within that. But small and large businesses as well. We work with a lot of consultants within the industry, but we also we will help small businesses that need an understanding or want more understanding, either on the value of their water or the needs of land use around them. And the last is we're part of an organization called the North Carolina Sustainability Alliance, which represents about 6.5 million North Carolina residents throughout the Piedmont. We're in that with Sustain Charlotte, Bike Durham, and the Piedmont together.
Are there any partners that you would like to be involved with that you haven't been able to gain an inroad with?
I'm sorry, say that question again.
Well, I'm thinking, are there any groups or foundations or anything that you would like to partner with, but you haven't been able to really get in there? I'm thinking of what came to mind was the RDU Airport Authority. I don't know if you were able to work with them or not, but airport access is always an issue in every major city.
We have done very little with the airport. We've done a little bit. Mostly what we've done is working on ways to connect access throughout. So we'll work with the different agencies throughout, but we'll also work with municipalities outside of Wake County. So water is a good example, because water connects with everything. So your waterways don't even might start in Durham or further up, and they go all the way to the coast. So making sure that we're not causing problems to water or polluting it or causing undue flooding is a big factor in what we do. We'll also do that with transit. The commuter rail, which is a big topic right now, is going to connect from Clayton all the way to Durham. And that means that we have to work with other counties. We have to work with all 12 municipalities to make sure of Wake County, to make sure that we can serve a lot of them, and make sure that we have buy-in from our partners throughout. It's a very big and large project, but it's also going to connect access to jobs and affordability for housing for everyone.
I grew up outside of Columbus, Ohio, and I remember back during the high school years, they put an outerbound around, and to watch how much that transportation issue changed and gained accessibility for everybody. It was just amazing. So yeah, transportation is a powerful tool.
It is a powerful tool. It's one of the reasons that brought me down to Raleigh actually was the fact that I had always wanted to see what transit looked like 20 years after they lowered the first subway into Boston, because the changes in land use and how people get around and how they access it are huge. And so we're going to see that very much with projects that are going on in the Triangle between commuter rail or bus rapid transit. Those are huge projects that are going to have implications for land use and people's ability to get to jobs, get around the Triangle for fun or their needs, necessities, picking up groceries. And it's just going to be a transformative impact for everyone.
With talking about all the development, I know we previously spoke about Plan Wake, and one of the tenets of that is to retain over 30% of the county is green space and everything. Can you describe, tell our viewers what the Plan Wake is about and what the vision and range is for that?
Absolutely. So Plan Wake is a really sort of an innovative idea for our county. Just to put it in perspective, by population growth and area, Wake County is the largest growing county in North Carolina. So we are getting the most attention. We're building very quickly. And what that can mean is that everyone is looking for affordability. That means whether you're looking to buy buy or build a $500,000 home, or you want to rent a place for $800. So people are constantly looking for how they can live affordably, but closer to work or closer to family. And the idea behind Plan Wake was to both connect people and the county, but also prevent sprawl. So with a number of years ago, the county commissioners made a commitment to keep 30% of Wake County green and undeveloped. So this Plan Wake actually fulfills that promise, but also helps guide us towards where we develop. So keeping urban areas urban, pushing for land development around things like the 540 extension, but not encouraging growth way outside of it, so that we can build around those areas and both protect our environment, but also preserve that ability for people to be able to easily get to their jobs, get to their work. One of the difficulties of any municipality or county is that if you're providing a way for people to access jobs and businesses and exercise and their necessities through transit, the further out they go, the more expensive it is. Yeah. So creating ways to build that so that people can be maybe closer, but also more efficient. We're saving money in terms of our taxes, but we're also helping people get around much better. We can provide services to those with individuals with disabilities much easier through transit if we have people in a closer proximity to each other. That way we're not ending up with trying to get out to rural communities to get people to medical appointments. So this allows us to also plan our land better, put medical services or grocery stores in places where we know people will be living. It helps businesses plan that out. It helps small businesses be able to plan out. In a lot of cases, the big data that your Kroger's or Harry's or the major grocery chains will use to get their locations for where to grow, that data is not easily available to small businesses because of expense. Well, this allows local businesses to look at a map and say, okay, development's going to be over here. This is going to be where it's encouraged. So if we move in now and open up, then in a year or two, we know that we'll have customers going in through the door. So it's really an opportunity to help the county build, but kind of in its name, I know it sounds corny, but to plan around Wake and really look at things and say, okay, what are we going to do over the next 30 years?
Very good. I just checked with our online feed, and We don't have any questions. Let me just remind the audience that if you would like to ask Nathan a question, just type it in the chat line, and we'll see that we get that answered. Again, I want to remind everybody, this is Nathan Spencer from Associate Director of WakeUP Wake County, a nonprofit that is planning for controlled growth in services for the Wake and Triangle region. Since we're AARP, I'd like to talk about transportation options for older adults. How has COVID impacted the options to, say, like ride a bus?
It's been very hard for Go Raleigh system at this point. All buses are reduced to 50%, which means that only on average 16 passengers max per bus, spacing between passengers as much as possible, so that there's not they're reducing the idea of transmission. All the buses have rear boarding, and they're all at this point fare free, which means that they're free and to get around, but getting on the rear is required. It's required to wear masks. That said, it's given the agencies an opportunity to assess what their needs are and what their plans are. With the reduction of almost 60% of ridership, there are routes that are still very, very strong, and that tells us that as a county and as a Raleigh municipality, that that there's needs for those areas. There's essential riders either to Wake Med or Rex, or to areas with lots of grocery stores or hourly employees, and so making sure that employees are able to get using transit to where they need to be is a big factor during COVID.
Has COVID required any routes to be discontinued or changed or anything along those lines?
No, it's provided a sort of a lighter sort of service, but Go Raleigh is still running their everyday service as they've always. What I will say is that right now the county is going through a reprioritization of the next 10 years. This was a planned thing that was expected. Every 4 years they would go through and say, are the things that we agreed to in 2016 still a priority for us in 2020? So that is a process that's going through right now, and that may change what gets emphasized. There's a lot of data pre-COVID and after COVID to really tell the agencies what's the focal point. I can safely say that one of the big factors has been connecting communities and making sure as many people as possible within the county have access. That is still a priority no matter what. That was sort of built within the plan, and WakeUp's going to do as much as they can to make sure that that continues, because the opportunity for communities to plan around that has been really big. Communities like Cary have done an amazing job of saying, years before, hey, we're going to want a bus route to go through here, so we're going to buy up land, we're going to put affordable housing, we're going to plan out what we need. And that's it's innovation and services like that that's really, really important.
Do you feel that for those of us as we age and desire to drive less or aging out of driving ourselves, are things like Uber and Lyft and taxi service a viable option for us?
Absolutely, and it's not just for aging adults. We are getting rid of our second car right now and exploring how we have just a vehicle that we use to get around. My spouse commutes to RTP or did before COVID and works from home, but will again at some point. And so we're trying desperately to make sure that we're doing less of our driving around. That said, Lyft and Uber are really, really good options for getting around, especially with what's going on with COVID. They're working very hard, as are taxis, to clean after each rider. In fact, the Go Raleigh's Raleigh Access program, which allows individuals with disabilities to access, relies very heavily on the taxi service. And the city has asked and has enforced taxi services to actually clean up after every rider. So it's very, very safe now. I think we've all gone through about 7 months of this, so we're all kind of getting better at how to manage this. But it is very safe. I will also say there's a few local companies. So Uber and Lyft are fairly large, but there's a company that operates just downtown that uses golf carts, so they're open air. So if you're still concerned and you're interested in moving around downtown, there's a free shuttle called Avahi, and there's an app for them. That's a startup or entrepreneur from Raleigh who's built up a way for people to navigate downtown.
That's good to know, because getting to Raleigh or downtown Raleigh is one thing, but then navigating around through there is quite some distances.
Absolutely.
Does WakeUP Wake County integrate with the surrounding areas like Durham and Orange County?
We do. Actually, we've done it through a couple different means. We're connected through Go Triangle. We meet with them every month to brief them on what we're hearing and let them tell us what they're listening to. We're also part of something called the Triangle Advisory Committee, the TAC, which is multi-county represented. We will often go and listen to the concerns or interests from folks in Orange County or Durham about what's going on in their communities or what they need to do, as well as working with organizations like Bike Durham, which is, we've mentioned before, they're just incredibly well organized and wonderful. What we've also found is that we can't have a regional transit system without all of us working together, without the agencies and the advocates and the elected officials really working hand in hand. While there are laws that say that money from Orange County can't go to Wake, and that's important to have, the planning doesn't have to be that way. Just because there's a border there that we've made up doesn't mean that the bus stops at the border of Durham and lets everyone off. We have to be able to get people through and around the counties because they are growing together. The Triangle is a vastly growing community altogether, and being able to provide housing and opportunities throughout are really, really important. And it means that planners and elected officials have to talk about what they're doing and share good ideas and be open to trying different things. It's not always what works in Raleigh works everywhere else. Sometimes sometimes Durham's doing something, sometimes Rolesville's doing something, and we need to be able to learn and educate ourselves on that. Wake Up spent a lot of time doing that, trying to highlight what the good opportunities that are happening, the good resources, and trying to allow room for policymakers and agencies to really learn from that and adopt those things.
Well, that kind of leads into one of my next questions here. And it's one of the gems, I think, of the Triangle area and maybe North Carolina is that, can you talk about the Greenway system that we have here? Triangle, because that definitely connects us with other areas.
It is, the Greenway system is bar none amazing. And just for comparison, I used to bike from the suburb that I used to live in to downtown Boston, and I'd be riding on the side of the road, on sidewalks, close to people, and constantly in a struggle to get access to that. And that was when I was, I don't know, 10, 11. The fact that we have more than 100 miles of Greenway throughout the Triangle is just amazing in all sorts of ways. There's originally the Greenway was really built towards a area so that because of flooding, so that you couldn't develop in those areas, and the municipalities had that land and wanted to use it. I think we're slowly moving to a point where we're understanding that these are more than just flood zones, but actually transportation arteries, and that people are getting to work, but also getting exercise. The ability to walk and participate in things is so important for us, and keeps people healthy. So it's really something that we want to encourage, and the Greenways is really just a great way to do that.
Maybe we can wrap up here. You could tell us in the closing minutes, what is the kind of the vision or the 10-year transportation plan for the Triangle, and how will this impact older adults?
Well, the vision overall is to connect people in the county to transit, getting them around and connecting them everywhere. So that includes providing faster, more reliable transit. The bus rapid transit, or the BRT, which you probably heard quite a bit about or seen in the news, it's a over $350 million project to connect fast transit throughout downtown Raleigh and out. There's also a plan for the commuter rail, as I mentioned, from Clayton to Durham, that will quickly do 37 miles of getting people to and from the areas and municipalities around. It has huge impacts to older adults in terms of providing ability for affordable housing near transit through things like transit-oriented development, as well as the ability to get people out of their vehicles. Vehicles can cost up to $10,000 a year for folks. So being able to get them out and get them able to save that money, walk to a bus stop, walk to a commuter rail stop, bike to it, however they need to safely, with lighting and first and last mile access, which means that, continuous sidewalks, reduce speed limits so that people can safely get around, cross streets, and get to where they're going using transit is huge. And another factor in that 10-year plan is actually frequent networks. So a lot of the bus systems that are around are going to be increasing to 30 or 15-minute pickups. So what might have been people waiting 45 an hour for a bus is actually going to mean that you don't need to know the schedule. You just show up at the bus stop and the bus shows up and takes you. So it's really exciting to see that, and a really good opportunity for everyone.
Well, that's all really very exciting, I think, for the changes there. I'd like to, as we close up here, I'd like to thank Nathan Spencer, Associate Director of WakeUP Wake County, for participating with us today. And Pax, you're going to close us out here, I guess. And thank everybody for watching, and share this with your friends.
Yeah, thanks so much. And Nathan, do you have anything else that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I just, our transit only happens because we advocate for it, and WakeUP is not the speaker of everything. So we need you and individuals watching this to participate. We have there's a commuter rail study going on right now. It needs feedback. So we ask people to definitely go to goforwardnc.org/commuterrail and participate in that. And WakeUP is also doing a photo contest. So check us out on our website, WakeUpWakeCounty.org, to connect with us about participating in our photo contest with the American Heart Association. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Nathan. And we hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you.